Hello, I am Dr. Randall Bell. Welcome back to Core IQ, where we talk about the stuff we all need to know to navigate through this thing called life and business and families, all these essentials, foundational issues. And one of the things is that we have this journey in business, our family's life, and sometimes there's ups and downs and there's these highs and lows, and we want to kind of explore that. I got my buddy Danny Ray here. Danny has had some ups, like anybody, ups and downs, mostly ups, I think. I've seen huge success. But let's talk about this journey where you're kind of intrigued with a new thing. This line is what we use in economics, achievement. And of course, this is over time. And we start off intrigued. And Danny, just give us an example and kind of talk us about being intrigued, that stage.
Let's say you start a new job and you want to know whether you should invite a coworker out, and you're like, you meet somebody, they seem really fun, you get excited about that. So I would say that's the first,
first thing, and then you're kind of excited about it, and then it seems like whether it's a coworker or a family member or meeting someone that you're gonna date or go out with, any of these kind of relationships, there's that moment of excitement, and then there's inevitably some kind of conflict.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that seems to always happen.
Conflict's inevitable. It's what we do with conflict is, I think sometimes we look at conflict as negative or positive, but it's really neutral. It's what we do with that affects the outcome.
I like that point. So we got a setback, okay, and we're kind of, we're excited, now there's kind of a setback, and then the next point is kind of that inevitable critical juncture where you can say, there's choices to make, low, medium, and high. Maybe let's start with the low. What is it has the word hostile. What would that kind of look like?
Sometimes I think we respond in a negative way, a hostile way, when somebody, we say, hey, do you want to go out for lunch? And they're like, no. And never mind. We get defensive.
Right.
Instead of going, maybe they just didn't have time today, maybe they weren't blowing me off.
Right.
And sometimes we take things so personal, and in taking those things personal, we respond in a negative or a hostile way.
That's a great point, because in my prison volunteer work, they have a term called Q-tip.
Yeah.
And Q-tip stands for quit taking it personally. and in prison, there's an environment where it's racially charged, and people are not happy about being there, and you have guards that some are reasonable and some are not so reasonable.
Right.
So they have this motto, don't take it personally, and it kind of keeps things in perspective a little bit. Yeah. And that's where it seems hostility comes from, is when we do take things personally.
Right. And I think that happens at all levels, whether it's the CEO level or, you're working on a movie, or you're working in emptying trash at a company. It doesn't matter. At all levels, we can end up taking things in a negative or a hostile way.
Yeah. So you're doing a show, you're in a rush, your anxiety, someone, if maybe a family man is your story, but someone asks you something, it's not quite the right time.
Right.
Or the other way around, but we just don't take it personally. That's where the person is right now.
Right.
Kind of thing. Yeah, the same thing in business everywhere.
I always like to give the person the benefit of the doubt. It's like they're having a bad day, they've had something else happen. It's not just looking at them as negative or as, they're upset with me, but as they might just be having an off day.
Yeah. So. I met a guy in San Francisco just a few days ago, and it was the guy really kind of intrigued me, and I was interested in, learning more about his story.
Yeah.
And I asked him, hey, you want to go to dinner? And he said, yeah. And then the night came where we're going to go hang out and have dinner and, talk. And he canceled. I was a little bummed. I was kind of at that setback, what do I do here? I thought, I don't know, whatever. He came to me later and he says, I want to apologize. I canceled dinner because I know you write books. Right. And my story was something I didn't want to share with the world. And I said, I respect that. I could see how that. And just so you know, I would never share any part of your story without your explicit, permission.
Right.
So we kind of overcame that conflict. And now he's interested in, getting together because we kind of cleared the air. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the whole disillusion.
Yeah.
Is he was disillusioned about what the relationship was going to be.
Yeah.
He thought, okay, if I share my heart, my story, my ideas,
Yeah.
like that's ending up on a blog and a book and something Dr. Randall's doing.
Yeah. And I
So-
need to kind of own that, because he knew that, and I should have, when I said I'm interested in your story, kind of had a
Clarified.
little more clarity in what. I was just interested in meeting him. I wasn't
Right.
interested in writing about him,
Right.
or maybe I would, but I would only do that if he gave his. I should have talked about it. You know what I mean?
I think that's one of the core principles of trust in a relationship.
Yeah.
Is you didn't earn his trust yet,
Yeah.
and without that trust, he's not sure where this relationship's going. So he deflected.
Yeah. The cool thing is he had the kind of courage to just come clean and lay it out there.
Yeah.
And once he laid it out there, we had this dialogue, and
Right.
we're good. You
Right.
know, so kind of laying it out there rather than burying it, because it seems like hostility is from where people don't say what they're really thinking.
Right.
And he did, and I did, and we cleared it all up.
And that if all communication could go that well, we'd be in a lot better place.
That was a good example. So the next one is kind of disillusion. Kind of, you're not hostile. I don't think I would have ever been hostile with this guy,
Yeah.
or him with me. But there can be these things where you just kind of passive aggressive, ignore each other,
Right.
kind of thing. Do you have an example of that comes to mind?
I think it happens with married couples or people that are in a relationship all the time, where they don't communicate effectively. We talk about expectations all the time. As I was expecting I'd get home and dinner would be made for me. They're disillusioned about what marriage is about.
Right.
So those things happen, and when that expectation isn't met, then you have a setback, you have conflict, and again, how do you deal with that conflict?
Right.
Are you going to get hostile and be angry that didn't happen, or you going to serve and work on making that happen?
And if I remember right, you actually do some marriage counseling and facilitate those conversations. So I'm guessing a lot of these points come up.
All the time.
Yeah. So obviously you don't want a hostile marriage.
Right.
But a lot of marriages, I happen to know, kind of get in that disillusioned, thing where it's kind of like, you're just kind of like going along the yellow level here.
And sadly, that's where a lot of marriages end up, is they're not thriving. They're just going about business, if you will. And sadly, when kids leave, and you realize, I don't love this person, I don't know this person, and sometimes divorce. But a lot of marriages, it's where it begins to thrive again. It's like, you know what? We do want to get to know each other. We do want to find out, why did we fall in love in the first place? And you start a new journey. But they're right here at that point.
They're at this joint.
Where
point.
it's like, we've got to make new decisions. So this whole graph here happens consistently throughout our lives, that there's going to be opportunities to get excited about things, but that's not where it ends.
Right. Well, and following your marriage example, you're intrigued, you're excited, there's conflicts, and then you kind of, there can be the hostility, or there can be the disillusionment.
Right.
But take us on this, the kind of the pace day-to-day effort towards what a good deal looks like.
Yeah, it's a daily commitment. You want to have a plan, but a lot of people don't have like a personal plan. They'll have a business plan, they'll have work plans, but not necessarily like, here's a personal plan for where I want to be, here's a marriage plan for where we want to be, a family plan. Those things really help make a difference, is when you have that plan of what you want to achieve personally in your life, with your family, with yourself. And then that next is like having that daily effort that goes into it, just consistently achieving the things that you have as part of your goal, as part of your mission, as part of the person you're designed to be.
So what I hear you saying is kind of interesting, is that when you talk about having a written game plan, that doesn't apply just to business or sports or school. It applies to these personal relationships too.
Right. Oftentimes people will get focused on one area, like, I really want to get fit, so I'm just focusing on exercise every day. Well, they don't realize the other component of that is what you eat. So they're eating whatever they want, and if you're working out heavy, you're going to eat heavy, but if you're not eating healthy, then that affects us over here. But we're holistic, those things affect the whole. And so maybe you're more focused on the fitness right now, and you need to look at, like, how can I transfer that to my work? How can I transfer that to my marriage or my relationships or my family? Look at the whole of what life offers, not just like one segment. But any one segment can help bring up the other areas because you know you could do this. That helps you to know that you could achieve other things.
I get it. And another thing I like about this graphic is that understanding that these critical junctures are going to come,
Right.
and there are three options. We can either get really, spider monkey mad about it, or we can kind of just, let it kind of float and, kind of, disillusioned over time, never really address it, or we can have these healthy relationships that kind of look like there's full communication,
Right.
written strategies, a conscientious game plan, and that's really what it takes to get into this kind of green zone.
What you're an expert in is understanding in the middle of disaster, are you going to take a dive or are you going to thrive, and
Yeah.
that's the choice you have to make with these.
Yeah, it is, and it's something we see in our research all the time. Because I
Yeah.
was just in the home, a very famous home, and there's people behind these statistics. And even though they're famous, doesn't mean they don't have feelings. And she was breaking down, crying because of this quandary she's in.
Right.
And fortunately, because of the research, I'm pretty sure we can get her on a trajectory that's positive.
Yeah.
But there's a definite, clear, written game plan. You don't just kind of wander to success. You
Right.
have to have a course charted for it. So this stuff really does come up, and so it's important for anyone watching and for us and our families to understand that there's going to be these choices,
Right.
low, medium, or high. And to go for the high ground, we got to have a conscientious game plan. We got to do exactly what we're doing. We're talking about it,
Right.
instead of just thinking it's going to magically appear.
I might be able to make that happen. But
Only you.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So anything else you want to share about this, or we kind of got it covered?
No, I think this is, we've covered it. I think it's important to just really don't get caught up just in the things that you're excited about. That's important. But there will be conflict. There will be tension. There'll be something that kind of takes you out of that excitement mode. It's what you do in those times that really makes a difference.
Okay. Danny
Yeah.
Ray TV. Your book is?
It's called Magnificent Mark, and it's about living remarkably.
Yeah. Awesome. So thanks for being here, Danny.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Make sure you like, share Core IQ. Let everybody know. See you next time.